Okay, and we're live. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2015. Um, we're about to begin the first Within the Ring of Fire game of the new year, um, where our saga begins on day 54 of Cycle 5000, day of melting ice, Najakthi's day. We see our camera open up on the frozen wastes of Nifland, the edge of that cold sphere circle on the center of the surface of Kavega Thale, where large looming pine trees encroach ever so slightly onto the icy sheets of snow and flat cold that extends out for miles and miles in nearly every direction. And we see uh, each of our embers uh, arriving after a long journey, uh, much longer for some of you than others. But you see, after what seems like cycles and cycles of walking, um, a edifice in the distance. You hear the noise of raucous activity. There's a enormous wooden longhouse nestled against the forest's edge, perched almost on the barrier, the edge between greenery and endless white coldness. An elaborately carved, a masterfully carved, in fact, structure that is while the shape of this building might appear simple, a rectangular longhouse, the amount and skill of the carvings and the decorative embellishments that have been added to every inch of the exterior of this structure shows that this is no mere abode or safe house to wait out the cold, uh, but something else, something more, something of significance. Um, there are figures, animals, humanoids carved into posts and beams, and across the long wooden walls are scenes from history, scenes of what are perhaps religious, perhaps some sort of cultural events. You cannot yet tell from this distance. But what you can see and hear and begin to smell as you approach closer is the sound of and sights of raucous activity. There are competitions, it looks like, sport being held all around this place. There are perhaps 24 individuals, species, some familiar, some new, wrestling matches, a strange game with a ball. You're not sure. Various sorts of revelry and competition take place here. And there are as well the logs of felled trees from this forest that there are several individuals whittling or sawing away, crafting into it some type of artistry. You aren't sure, but nevertheless, this must certainly be the destination you have sought for such a long time and crossed such a long distance to reach. For this is surely the site of the great hunt that each of you have heard tell of. The event which you have all chosen to participate in. There's no one immediately to greet you, but no one is stopping you either. You are free to arrive in this place and take it away.
I'll go first. Blackcliff, as I go by to the simpler species, to the ones not Iktomi, as they are all simple species, arrives, and I am a large, about 6 feet long, very large for my species if you've ever seen an Iktomi before. Powerfully built Iktomi. And I am wrapped currently in these sort of furs to keep myself warm that cover my abdomen and cover the back of me. But I am an Iktomi, a little bit of a description of Iktomi. I am a large spider-like creature. I have 4 sets of 2 eyes that are hourglass shaped. So I have a total of 8 eyes that come off of the front of my face. I am covered in little tiny white hairs. I am my carapace or exoskeleton is a black color with white little hairs that come out. And my legs look like I would have 8 legs. However, the legs are fused together, as is as all Iktomi have these 2 sets of 4 legs essentially that are fused together. And I walk on 2 legs. I can choose to walk on 4, however, at this time I am walking tall and making my way, observing my surroundings, observing the activity of these creatures, recognizing some of the sports that they're playing, as I am very familiar with that sort of thing. But I came here for a very specific reason, and I head straight towards the Great Hall, wanting to meet this great ogre that I've heard so much about, this Nep de Hapa Nakor. And I shiver very slightly in the cold. It is quite chilly for me.
Very much so.
All right, I can continue. Tra is less than a foot in height, about 10 inches. Is riding on some kind of many-legged insect, which is not that much bigger than himself, but bound upon it is for him, great packages. For, let's say, a human, it will be backpacks in size, 2 of them. But they are clinged to this insect as long. He's driving it by hitting it with a stick in order to direct it, and he seems rather frustrated in the slow going of this animal, but such is the way of the small people. He is grey bluish in skin tone, and he has uh, antennas sticking up of his head, and is quite observant about his surrounding, despite his struggle with this animal. He has clothing. Uh, a He has a dark cloak that he seems rather large for his statures, rather wide, with a dark cloak around him. So it's hard to see, but he seems well quite satisfied with the fact that he's soon at his destination, and quite relieved over the fact that this animal has survived the whole trip so far. Getting into the heat will probably be good for it, but doesn't seem to care overly much about its well-being, other than to get him where he needs to go.
Alright, I'll go next. I got our reminds walking here, having long abandoned his mountainous, somewhat treacherous terrain. He's wearing a mail shirt and is carrying a long glaive. Of course, every metal he owns is made out of steel, harder, stronger steel. Yeah, he's noting the strangeness in his surroundings, but he wants to get to the loghouse first. The sooner he can get there, the sooner I can hunt a troll.
I will go next then. I am Tiri Talsarak, formerly of the Great Horde. I have traveled very, very far. Very, very far. I have tasted such strange scents in the air. So many textures and sensations. From the southern continent further towards the center, from the humid jungles to the strange open spaces, and then the cold.
I believe you might be muted there. And it is quite cold for you. There you go.
Where was I?
Describing the cold. How cold it is here in Nifland.
At the tip of my tongue, I could taste it. And that was the first thing. Days out, I could taste it. And then when I got closer and closer, and my scales, down to my bones, my blood slowed. Oh, but I heard of my chance for redemption, a chance for a new name. Yes, a hunt for trolls. And my destination is here in this land of cold. So I went, and I ate the first set of travelers I came across. I was cold, and their blood warmed me for a time, and as their fading heat from their corpses filled me, I took their furs. Oh, they didn't fit, not individually. I had to take tear pieces of cloth and fabric and fur, and adorn myself in it like some tattered king. And that's how I stride in. This is a collection of furs that adorns me from top to bottom. Mismatched, misplaced, layered upon layer to try and keep me warm. But every time I taste the air, every time I look out with my one good eye, I feel it burn in me, freeze me, slow me. But I must push on. Here I am. And I look down. Yes, down, for I stand a good 6'9". I look down upon these creatures, except for these red-skinned ogres. I have learned smatterings of their tongue. I am not that good at it, but I can at least communicate in the tongue of rage. But there are others here, other strange things I have never seen before. These yellowed skins, oh, they taste so sulfuric. I ate them first when I came to this place. But their weapons, oh, they shine so bright. I've never seen such things, but I do not need such weight with me. What I seek is something far more valuable than that metal. That metal that shines in moonlight. There are others here, other strange things. Things I do not have names for. Creatures with pink skin and blue eyes and bright yellow hair like spun gold. Others like meat. It's all new meat, and I can taste it. I can taste them from here. I wonder what that taste would be like in my mouth, in my gullet. But I head to the log house. That's where I must go. That's where I will get my new name.
And as each of you enter into this longhouse, the relief of warmth, finally, warmth, especially for you, the Sirush and Blackcliff, both of you especially susceptible to the lack of heat of this place. But there is, thankfully, a roaring fire in the middle, running lengthwise down much of the interior of this structure. And in it, there are more individuals in here. This place seems like a strange combination of workshop and place of worship, if that seems to even make sense to any of your minds. As the individuals, about half a dozen in number, speak out prayers, many of them in Thuban, some in other languages you may or may not understand. If anyone speaks Pelganese. At least one of you speaks Moolish. Prayers, sacrifices to Nijakthi as they whittle down large hunks of wood into shapes. And at the end of this structure, there is a very large, looks like log, misshapen, not straight and true, like a tree that should be worked should be. A gnarled hunk of tree is being worked that's about perhaps 15 feet tall, being carved intricately by a almost 9 foot, which is quite large even for an ogre. That is what this man is. You see there are scars, horrible scars, wounds. It looks like many battles on his person. He wears no shirt. In fact, even in the heat of this place, he and in fact the other individuals in this building do not seem to be dressed appropriately for the weather outside. They barely have anything on at all. Some of them have simple linen trousers and traveling boots. Some a little bit more, but all far too light for this unending cold. But it doesn't seem to bother them. They are, for the moment, in a area with a flame. Perhaps they have outdoor wear stored somewhere. But this large ogre with wounds both old and, as you enter into this place, see wounds that are quite new. There is a large discoloration upon his flame red skin, marked purple and blue, a nasty bruise. And there are cuts, deep gouges, as if from the claws of some beast you would hope not to meet, even on the best of days. But he is speaking, as the rest of these men are, out to Nijakthi, giving thanks for victory in battle, giving thanks and for this gathering that has been put together. The last one, of course, not being for 100 cycles hence. And you see, gouged into the structure of this large wooden log, it seems to be a depiction of an ogre battling what could only be a troll. You've never seen a troll before, but surely a creature as monstrous and that even dwarfs a man of this ogre's size could only be such, for it towers over him. But as you approach into this place of work and worship, He turns, he stands and turns to you, hearing your footsteps breaking the sound, the melodic tone of these cries, these prayers gone out. And he slowly gets up and turns around to eye you who have entered this place. He does not answer. He does not speak to you, but he eyes you each in turn, locking gaze. He approaches, but does not speak, as if he is waiting for you to declare who you are and why you are in this place. You do not, you're quite of a motley sort. Perhaps you're in the wrong place.
Are you the ogre they call Nep Dihakpa Nakur?
I am. And who are you?
You may call me Black Cliff. I have come seeking a troll to kill.
He smiles wryly at that. And you are here for the hunt. You are here to join the others outside in battle with these most hated of creatures.
Yes, I wish to kill it and feast upon it. I wonder how it tastes, this troll.
I have met a number of your kind before. Spider person.
Iktomi.
Ah.
And
They
I
were.
don't say it like I'm offended. Like, I just say it like, well, of course you wouldn't know my name.
Right. Well, in whose name do you come to perform this hunt? Are you here for yourself? Do you wish to devote such a prize to he to whom this temple is dedicated?
Sort of
Or are you
look.
here for perhaps the Spider Queen, other enforcers, many allied with them, come here seeking battle with hated trolls? Is that what you are here for?
I am Iktomi. Of course I am here for the Spider Queen. She is the one all Iktomi give praise to. But I am here to raise myself in station as well.
Those who are successful in such a task as this are men, women, creatures of merit and of strength. And there are many who are quite appreciative of having one less troll stalk the surface of Kavega Thale. Perhaps we will see if you get your wish, if you return.
The trolls are foul creatures. Indeed, yes. And I sort of turn to like the others that are kind of almost lined up behind me. Are these ones also here for the hunt?
And he turns towards... He probably doesn't even notice Tra at this point. Far too small and far too large are you and he. But his eyes meet next with Sirush
Regardless,
Tarak.
as the spider creature asks a question, the answer comes in Hela. Simply spoken, it is yes, Weaver, and a small bow is performed.
And the ogre looks around as if where did that sound come from before looking down. He's used to looking down, but not quite that far down. What manner of creature are you?
As he's speaking to me, I draw my gaze away from the beaver, and I answer, I am a sprite, and I also have come to aid in this creature's downfall. It shall burn before us as all its kind shall, as all such heretical creatures shall, and I will see it burn. And a small bow, smaller than the previous one.
For the moment, he starts to smile, to grin at that as if to imply how could a 10-inch tall creature take on a troll. But then, hearing the veracity and the anger in your voice towards such a thing, towards these creatures, he thinks better of it and nods, perhaps still unsure if you'll survive. There are many who do not come back from this thing, but perhaps the point is in the trying. Now you will get your chance, little one. Little sprite.
Yes.
You will not have to wait long. But who are these two? You, I know of your kind. Sirush. You are a long way from the swamps and the heat of Katik. What motivation would carry you so far into this cold land?
I stand straight. I do not wish to show weakness to such things, especially before being interrupted by a rude little gnat. As I look down at this little thing that dared to squeak up before I was addressed. It looks like a snack, a small snack I would pass by, but I think better of just snatching it up and eating it in my mouth. Best to put it on a good sense of manners in certain respects. So I am now addressed again, and I look towards this ogre, and I speak my desire. Redemption is what I seek, great ogre. I have traveled from the swamps through this blighted land of cold, and I move my hood back to reveal my smooth four-screen scaled face, except for the long cut across my left eye, gouged out, and scales removed upon the left side of my face. Scars that haven't completely healed over. They look like they've been there for maybe a few cycles at most. Redemption, great ogre, and the chance to taste troll flesh.
And he nods towards you as if sharing some kind of understanding with your particular desire for redemption of some sort. And seeing that you two are not unfamiliar with battle of some description, as you are wounded, as bear the scars of combat much as he does. I understand your need, that desire that burns in your heart. It burned in mine as well, many, many cycles ago. I, like all my people, are the children of rage. But I was once a slave to it. Slave, even while free. The code of valor taught me to channel such passions in combat with these trolls, and in competition with my fellows who would hunt with me likewise. I found an outlet, if you will. And I found out it was something I was quite good at. And your kind I'm also keenly familiar with. He seems to suppress a grimace. This is your kind's land, here, not far to the south. That great dome of steel and smoke.
Know it then.
I have made this place home many times over many cycles. It is impossible to miss if you stay here long enough. It is impossible not to hear the stomping and stamping of steel-shod boots over the cold ice and snow. What brings you to this place? Do you wish redemption like that one? Do you wish...
No. I'm here to fight the troll. Here to understand how to fight a troll. So I can return, and so I can instruct more on how to do this. In short, I am here for the glory of my people and my house.
I wonder if your house would, if they could, put these trolls in chains as they have so many others. I wonder if they would have the audacity to try such a thing. I don't believe I would put it past them. However, you will get your chance. You all will receive your chance, as will all the others outside. They await my blessing and the blessing of Najakthi. They wait for the completion. He points towards the log, the almost now finished carving. They wait for this sacrifice to be complete. It is nearly done. Will not be much longer now. This will be the 101st troll of oak that I have slain. So, if you will but give me a moment to continue my work, we will meet again shortly. Perhaps, if you still have the desire, the strength and courage, you will know where to look. And perhaps you will even be successful. He turns back towards the item, almost like a totem pole, in a strange way, putting the last finishing touches on whatever design he is etching into it. But as you look closer at it, and at the mention that this sacrifice is for the 101st troll he has slain, you notice the shape of this wood, which you thought was just the gnarled remnants of a fallen tree, bent and twisted. They're not the undulations of a natural plant, but rather the form, a hunched over, shriveled sort of figure. This piece of wood that he is working on looks to be, in fact, a creature of some sort. You can determine now, based on the shape and the silhouette it makes. It was not immediately apparent. It seems as though this thing that he is decorating is not only the source of his whittling, but his latest prey.
I watched for a few seconds in sort of fascination of this craft. He certainly has quite the ability in it, and it is fascinating. But I move towards the fire as I feel like extremely cold. Removing, able finally after so many days of walking, I remove my furs from off of my abdomen, and you can see for the first time there's some sort of yellow marks that are on the back of my abdomen. But you also are able to see some sort of small, almost like mound that's on my back. That's sort of it almost seems to shiver when the furs are taken off, and then it sort of stops and just pulsates just a little bit. But I look around to the group, and I look down at the very, very small creature that I'm not familiar with, and I say, Little one, how is it that you know my language?
Tra was keeping quite a distance from the lizard creature which had such hunger in its eyes, and was quite fascinated by this craftsman, and more than anything the creature he's now hunting. Trying to learn as much as possible about that, but from the words from the weaver, he quickly spins around and faces him. He gives once more a small bow and says, in Hela, "Ah, it was part of my religious training, Beaver. As servant of Ulis, it is proper to know the tongue of Helen. I hope my major skills does not displease you, Beaver." As he speaks, it's apparent that he cannot form the words perfectly, such as like Ikitami can, but he has at least passing skill at it, better than most non-Ikitami, naturally, or non-sirens, but still not as good as such a creature.
Yeah, I do switch back to Moolish, as I assume that's kind of the language that we've been speaking. I don't know if anyone else, if you all speak Moolish.
I do.
As do I.
That's what was being spoken by the ogre as well, as
Sorry,
one might expect.
I actually only know Teban, so I wouldn't have been able to understand him then.
Ah.
Yeah, I try several other languages with you, as I assume that the others won't be able to speak Hella, as much as I might wish them to. But I try. I know also Helganese, Tehulian, Thraxia, more ghoulish. Kind of trying it out with the group in general to see what sort of language we all have in common.
I recognize the Moolish tongue. It is what I spoke with the ogre, but my attention is now to the fact. At first I couldn't see my damn bad eye. That eye that was torn from me, I couldn't see too well. Not that my eyesight was that great to begin with, but I taste something's off about the wood. And as I begin to peer closer, I see what it is. And I begin to taste more. I bring myself closer to the fire, and I sort of unfurl the furs a bit so that my belly, scarred as it is with long scratches, almost ritualistically scratches along my lithe chest, begins to breathe in the warmth, to soak it in. But I take the opportunity. I'm tasting the air. I'm tasting this flesh, the flesh of those around me, the taste of their scent, their frozen sweat, and now warmed heat. But I'm also tasting this carving. Tasting it, for I wish to remember this taste. For it is this taste that will guide me to my troll. But I listen. I respond when I hear Moolish. Yes. Black Cliff, you claimed yourself. I speak Moolish. I, T. Tal Zarak, speak Moolish.
Knowing I'll from this point, I'm actually used to this sort of thing. I'm used to translating for others as um, these simple life forms don't seem to uh, learn all the necessary languages of the local area. So I take it upon myself to be generous enough to translate for Tra, I believe.
He doesn't even flinch when you butcher his name.
And I don't flinch when you butcher Hella either.
That is fair. That is fair. He seems very grateful for your translation and very respectful overall.
Yes. You are. I know you, Vigish. I know of your kind. You are a respectful species. Yes.
That's good to hear.
But you two, and I sort of point at the other two, I am not familiar with your kind. What species are you?
I am Surush. And what are you? And you and he looks and I look down at the small little one. What are you, little gnat?
As I would speak to a child, I say, Ik Tomi. Ik Tomi. That is what I am. We are servants and the first created of all of the gods' children. We are the first. Sarush. I sort of raise myself up. I'm not as tall as you, but I definitely won't back down from what I see as kind of a challenger, almost someone who would wish to physically challenge me.
There's a nice smile that spreads, showing my fangs, and my tongue flickers. I memorized this taste.
And you? And I point to the small creature with the tasty-looking ride.
I have moved a bit closer to Black Cliff and a bit further away from the lizard man at this point. I answer, we are called Sprite, Ever. We are fae.
Ah, yes, I know of Faye. You serve the great god Alice, correct?
Correct, Weaver.
A noble pursuit. And I sort of like, I say this derisively, but of course you're not able to even recognize that. Uh, Alice, in my mind, is definitely an ally, but definitely a lesser god, being the fetch boy of Helena.
Okay.
And you, Vigish, who do you serve? You say you serve your house. This is a noble thing. But
Yes, it is a noble house.
do you too serve a god? Perhaps your Hob Apothis
You know of Hobbapothus. Yes, the Riverian, I serve him.
I sort
Yes.
of like look off thoughtfully. I know some of about him. He is an enforcer, yes?
Believe so. The other entities aren't much of a subject of my more scholarly interest.
You, Sarush, I don't know anything about your kind. Do
Of
they
course not.
live?
We ate anyone who would know anything.
Sort of like tilt my head like it's a very interesting thing to say.
And there is a
Who made
great
you?
amount of pride as I say that.
Who made you?
I do not know who made us. I know who we serve. And we all serve the Horde. For Thurga.
Thurga. I do not know this one. He is a god?
A great, all-consuming dragon. With over 1,000 heads.
Very. And I sort of like pause to choose my next word very carefully. Interesting.
1,000 heads. Most impressive.
Yes.
Say without a hint of sarcasm.
And thus we, the Horde, emulate the hunger of those 1,000 maws. That is why you know nothing. Save for now.
Yes. You seem cold, like me. I am far from my land of origin. I am not like this Vigish. This is a cold land. Where do you come
Yes.
from, Sarush and Sprite?
I believe you call it Quatic. A southern continent. That is